Hello and welcome to another interesting episode of your program, Infrastructure Weekly. I am your guide, Ajibola Onwuchukwu. In today's episode of the program, we'll be taking you around projects in the road sector, power, rail transportation and housing to continue our look into the infrastructure agenda of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. We'll be back after this time out. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and QTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
Welcome back. We take off from this week from the work sector and precisely from the strategically and economically important Oyo-Ogbomosho Ilorin Road, which is one of the roads with the highest haulage carrying capacity in the whole country. It also serves as the major link where traffic of goods, services and people move from the western part of Nigeria through the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to the north through it. But following years of neglect, the road had become a nightmare for travelers, claiming lives as a result of either a road accident or the activities of bandits who take advantage of the bad road to unleash terror on road users. But since the advent of Muhammadu Buhari administration and as a part of efforts aimed at ensuring that strategically and economically important roads are taken care of, the road has been getting the required attention. Join us on this trip to see the current situation of the road against what was before now.
The Ibadan Oyo Ogbomosho Ilorin Road serves as the main link road between the southwestern parts of Nigeria, the north central and the core north, as it also passes its traffic into the Ilorin Jeba Mokwa Road onward through Niger and Kaduna State.
By award, like I said, it's a dual carriageway. It's supposed to be of 200 mm thick lateritic sub base, then 200 mm thick stone base, then 60 mm of binder course, and 40 mm wearing course on the carriageway. Meanwhile, on the shoulders, you have the sub base 200 mm, you have the stone base.
The road, which had served the nation well, had become a death trap and following public outcry was awarded by ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo and divided into sections, with Section A from Ibadan to Oyo awarded to Messrs. PWD Construction Limited, while Section B was awarded to AIC International Limited, while the third section was awarded to Messrs. RCC Construction Company in 2001 to match fanfare. After disputes arose, Section 2, Oyo to Ogbomosho, was revoked and left unattended, while the Section 3, Ogbomosho to Ilorin, was completed, and the Ibadan to Oyo section was also completed, while the Oyo to Ogbomosho, which is the longest stretch of over 100 kilometers long road, was later awarded by the late President Umaru Yar'Adua. Sadly, the road project was never funded until the advent of the Muhammadu Buhari administration. The road stretching from kilometer 43 to 95 is now seeing the required attention as part of the strategic road initiative of the federal government.
Well, just being equal, let me say that this project was awarded in year 2010. for a period of 40 months. It's supposed to have been completed in the year 2013. But some factors have militated against it, which is beyond the contractor, beyond the supervision. Like there were some times that there were no provision, So at the time, the contractor had to stop the work.
He said the project, because of the years of abandonment, has had to be reviewed over time, especially because of its cost.
This one, there's provision for it in the contract. Because if your labor, for example, over a period of time, their salary changes as approved by government, then all this material that they are using, reinforcement, diesel, cement, when the contract is awarded, we have what we call a basic rate, which is part of the contract.
He promised that the road that will be delivered is one that all Nigerians will be proud of after completion. A completed section of the road is currently being used by motorists plying the Oyo-Ogbomosho stretch of the road due to a failed section of the old road. This, according to the project supervisor, will soon get the required attention to ensure that the ongoing works are not disturbed by constant flow of traffic through the completed part of the road.
Still staying with the road sector, the federal government has approved an awarded contract for the repair and reconstruction of roads and bridges in the northeastern part of Nigeria. Minister of State for Power, Works and Housing, Suleiman Azan-Zarma, who announced the award of the contract, said the move is designed to address the difficulties of people in that part of the country.
The Ministry of Power, Works and Housing presented 2 memos today during the council meeting, and we are glad to report that we've secured approval for both of them. The first one is in respect of the furnishing of federal secretariat complexes in 3 states of the Federation: Oka in Anambra State, Gusau in Zamfara State, Yenogwa in Bayelsa State. It is the duty of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing to provide decent accommodation for federal agencies and some other offices in various states of the Federation to make their workings easier and more comfortable for better results. So these 3 secretariats have been completed and are being prepared for commissioning before the end of December 2018. This furnishing for the 3 secretariats is costed at 3.48 billion naira for the 3 secretariat complexes. Now, we have also secured approval of the Federal Executive Council to award a contract for the rehabilitation of some broken down bridges in the northeast region that was consequent upon their destruction by the insurgents when it was at its peak. The first one is the road between Maiduguri, Dikwa, and Gamboru, which was destroyed by the insurgents. And the second one is at the famous Limankara, which was very, very popular at that time. There's a bridge there that links the road between Maiduguri, Bama, Goza, Hong, Yola. That one was contracted out at the cost of 331.2 billion naira. There's also a bridge in Gombe State that is equally a target of the insurgents and is also being rehabilitated at the cost of 304 million, the total of which is 813,458,932 naira. And the beneficiary contractor is the Army Corps of Engineers that have a limited liability company that goes by the name of Surface Engineering Nigeria Limited. Why did we give it to Surface Engineering? Because of the security concerns. No contractor, no civil contractor would want to go there unsecured. So because that is their constituency, provision of security, and they also have an engineering core, and because it is not a war situation now, and they are, so to speak, not very fully engaged, and we also want to engage our officers in doing something that is productive, as it is the practice all over the world. The Army Engineering Corps all over the world do have a professional arm that is in place and can sometimes take out jobs that is out of their military duties.
If you're just joining us, the program is Infrastructure Weekly. You can get in touch with us on Facebook, and that's Infrastructure Weekly, and on Twitter at Infra_Weekly. We'll be back after this break for a look at the power sector. Don't go away.
Dear lottery operator, you've done a remarkable job so far getting into a business that has been highly criticized for many years. You've done well to uphold your credibility and boost confidence in the business. Kudos to you. This is just to remind you of the rules of the game as prescribed by the National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Gaming is not for persons under 18. Underage gaming is prohibited. Report illegal operators to the Commission, and also always remember the regulatory job of the Commission. Whatever your category, lotteries, sport betting, promos, scratch cards, games, it is the duty of the Commission to protect lottery players and the operators, as well as promote transparency and accountability. Licensees are also expected to play their part, which includes remittances to the National Lottery Trust Fund. For more information, please go to natlotterecom.gov.ng. The National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Lottery, the right way.
Welcome back. The power sector has witnessed tremendous improvement over the last 3.5 years of the Buhari administration, but the federal government says it will continue to do more to expand capacity and improve on what has been achieved so far. Managing Director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Usman Gor Mohammed, disclosed that the company, under direction from its owners, will continue to work to expand capacity of existing transmission stations and also build new ones. Gor Mohammed, who was in the Lagos region to inspect some of its facilities slated for upgrades, said this has been on since the beginning of the year and will continue as a policy. Meanwhile, he also added that the company will also ensure that no project is left uncompleted.
The Managing Director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Usman Gul Mohammed, says the company will continue to expand the national grid through implementing a program called the Transmission Rehabilitation and Expansion Program of the National Grid. He said the end goal of the company is uninterrupted power in line with the set target of the federal government. The plans of TCN is to continue to install and expand transmission stations across the country, which gives room for stable power supply. He added that these will necessitate investment in the networking of lines and substations across the country. 3 ways, according to him, have been developed to tackle the issues around the substations.
In terms of investment in transmission line and substation, we are using 3 ways of tackling that problem. One of the ways that we did when we came in is to empower TCN engineers to install equipment by themselves.
He added the government has helped in empowering TCN engineers to install equipment by themselves. Under this arrangement, several transformers have, according to him, been installed across the country, thereby reducing the cost of production and hastening the completion period of work.
We have installed several transformers across the country. Even here in Lagos, we have installed 40 MVA in Ejigbo, and we have installed 60 MVA in Aja under that kind of arrangement. And we are also building a substation in a place called Ilashe on an island. And I also want to tell you that under that kind of arrangement, we are reducing our cost significantly, and we are completing the work within a record time.
He also supports contractors who don't have the capacity to finish the work, thereby energizing the substation and providing the required services to the people. He added that in the last 1.5 years, more transformers have been installed than the previous 10 years. $1.57 billion have been raised in investment in transmission infrastructure from multilateral donors, and the money is being used to expand and rehabilitate the nation's transmission infrastructure.
If you look at all over the country, you discover that there are several contracts that have been running for several years that have not been completed. What we have discovered is that several of those contractors don't have capacity. So in such cases, we move in and support the contractor to finish the job. We are not going to ask them to pay us for completing the job, but we have stopped the variation that will come as a result of non-completion of that contracts.
Transmission rehabilitation and expansion program that is being implemented is expected to increase the capacity of transmission to 20,000 megawatt by 2021, and the company is still on track in achieving targets. Under this, it is believed that the transmission capacity can move quickly to more than 10,000 megawatts by just reconducting some lines. After the lines have been reconducted, the company will be recovering 2,000 to 3,000 megawatts, which means the transmission capacity will rise above 8,000 megawatts. Going further, he said the company is also working to improve power supply to the industrial belt in Lagos and Ogun State through a program to ensure they have easier access. He added that the objective of the plan is to make power supply to production companies easier, which will reduce the cost of energy, thereby reducing the cost of production. The programs has not been launched because the compensation fee is too high, and there's an ongoing collaboration with state governments, and they're working together to reduce the cost because it is above 5 million naira.
Lagos Ogun Transmission Project. The Lagos Ogun Transmission Project is going to put 4 330 kV substation between Ogun and Lagos. The objective of this substation is actually to target the most industrialized part of Nigeria. If you recall, between Ogun and Lagos, you have the most industrialized part of Nigeria. So the intention is to take power closer to those industries so that they can produce at lower cost of energy.
The next program that will significantly change Lagos is the NETAP, under the Transmission Rehabilitation and Expansion Program. The NETAP is founded by the World Bank, and the project is looking at existing substations, which is rehabilitating existing substations across the country. It will help enhance the control box by changing the electromechanical relay to digital to enable easy communications with SADA.
Still staying with the TCN, power, according to the company, has been restored to the Funtua power station in Kaduna State following the fire incident caused by a faulty armored cable from Kaduna Electricity Distribution Company feeder, which burnt along the cable into the adjoining TCN station. Meanwhile, the company has assured residents that it will continue to do its work to ensure uninterrupted power supply to its customers nationwide. Join us after this break for a look at road transportation and housing sector. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunity, and this is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
there is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and Core TV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
The program is still Infrastructure Weekly. You can get in touch with us on any of the social media handles scrolling on your screen for comments, feedback and inquiries. Moving from there to the rail sector, the federal government says it will take trillions of naira to complete ongoing projects around the country. Minister of Transportation Rotimi Chibuke Ameche disclosed this when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Land Transportation. Let's take a listen.
The Transport Minister is at the National Assembly on the invite of the Senate to explain the delay on the Eastern Rail Line, which people of the area fear may lead to abandonment of the project. Fielding questions from members of the committee on the status of the project, the minister says building standard rail lines is capital intensive. Thus, the need for resources, especially as the desire for this rail project is to have the rail line run through state capitals, connecting them for seamless rail services to the people. The lack of cash, he says, underscores the need for the project to be approached in phases. As the resources become available, the project will speed up. Amaechi, who appeared before the Senate Joint Committee on Land Transportation and Foreign and Local Debt, said the progress of work on the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri rail project will depend on the availability of cash and approval for the borrowing plan before the National Assembly as presented by the federal government.
$2.7 billion is 1 trillion naira. So for the railway we want to do from Port Harcourt to Maiduguri is about $12 billion. Sorry sir, you're talking about nearly 8 trillion naira. That's 1 year budget of Nigeria. Therefore, everything is done systematically.
The minister said the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri rail line project is a flagship project for completion by the President Muhammadu Buhari administration and remains a top priority because of the impact it will have on the people.
We can't do all at the same time. We can't be in Lagos to Kano, Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, Abuja to Kano, Katsina, and all that. We can't. What we are doing is, as we get the loan approved, we pay. Currently, we are doing the due process for the one of the Southeast.
The committee assures of the preparedness of the National Assembly to work with the executive to ensure a smooth completion of the project across the country.
We are the representative of the people. It is also our commitment to make sure that no region of the country is left behind in the rail revitalization agenda of the federal government, of which President Muhammadu Buhari
approving the sum of $30 billion added to our national debt profile now is something that will require all the senators to look at the pros and cons of it, not just the committee.
Finally, to the housing sector, where work continues nationwide on the pilot scheme of National Housing Project, which is expected to deliver houses and reduce the nation's deficits. We bring you this update on the program. Stay tuned.
In the past, the Federal Housing Authority and Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria had experienced their fair share of challenges while becoming well-known brands within the country. The experience was informed by evidence of previous housing initiatives that people did not take up and empty houses that still abound in almost every state in Nigeria. In line with the provision of affordable housing policy of the Muhammadu Buhari administration, the agencies must be repositioned in order to deliver service to Nigerians.
Most of the states, you find empty buildings, empty houses, and studies show that they either were not built with consultation and conformity with what people want, or people could not afford them. So we were very clear that the country should decide in consultation with the people what kind of house they want. So we're running pilots, and after the pilots are tested and people accept them and they can afford them, then the market will open for rapid mass deployment.
Minister of Power Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, states that the policy of government is to deliver affordable housing that is acceptable to Nigerians, and the Federal Housing Authority, as well as the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, will administer the policy as implementing arms of government for housing delivery and housing financing, respectively.
Since the first national housing, program that was executed under President Shagari, 2016 was the first year when national housing program was also introduced by this government.
We are looking at who is going to take these houses, what is his need, what is his requirement, because affordability is a term that can be given any meaning by anybody. For example, a 5 million naira house can be affordable to me or to the permanent secretary, but is it affordable to some other persons? No. Therefore, what you are building is only affordable to the person who can afford it. So we now look at who the person is, who wants to take these houses, and then try to make it affordable to him.
For improved housing delivery, it is expected that harmony, respect, teamwork, and a healthy working cooperation will exist between these agencies as the ministry on its part continues to supervise while ensuring the success of the present administration's National Housing Program pilot phase that is currently undergoing construction in 33 states of Nigeria. When the pilot phase of the National Housing Program is fully completed, these answers will become self-evident and the President Muhammadu Buhari administration will mass produce.
And that's it on this week's episode of the program. Join us next week for another interesting edition of the program. Until then, continue to support the infrastructure agenda of the Buhari administration by protecting the public utilities. And lastly, pay your tax. I am Ajibola Ohunchekwa. Thanks so much for staying tuned. Bye for now.